When I went to school at Ben Franklin Elementary and Shumway Junior High, I was a dork, a dweeb, and I was bullied. Back then, there was no geek chic like today. Microsoft and Modern Family hadn't been invented yet. The bullying was very real, but it lived only in the time it took to get from one class to the next or the ride home on the school bus. Today, digital devices and services allow mean people to make bullying a 24/7 sport. Bullying hasn't changed, but because of social networks, the reach, persistence, and audience has gotten much bigger. Enter digital citizenship. Like the citizenship I was taught in Mrs. Carson's second grade classroom, digital citizenship is also about being a good, safe, and responsible person. Mrs. Carson also taught me how to square dance. Times have changed. Welcome to Feedback. I'm Mark Ray. Today we're talking about digital citizenship. So, what is that? What does citizenship mean in a digital age? We asked some students at Geyser Middle School to ask their peers what it meant.
I think digital citizenship means that, like, online and anything that's social media, you should bond together and not, like, bully or anything.
Like online on Facebook, since it's digital, and citizenship, like with other people.
I think digital citizenship means like just be like a regular citizen like you are in the real world, but it's like online, and like you're being yourself online instead of being someone else.
They were close. Common Sense Media defines digital citizenship as a safe, responsible, and ethical approach to functioning in a digital world. Since our world is increasingly digital, that means simply being safe, responsible, and ethical, period. So we have educators and a parent to talk a little bit about this topic. Thanks for being here. Could you please introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Amanda Clow, and I'm a parent of some kids at Minnehaha Elementary.
And I'm Kelsey Andrzejewski, and I am the teacher librarian at Minnehaha.
And I'm Lee Gunter. I'm the school counselor at Minnehaha Elementary.
So the theme is Minnehaha today then.
Yeah.
So, question for us, do you think that all students have a sense of digital citizenship?
Inherently, no, I don't think so. I think some students a better awareness than others, but not across the board.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of times kids have access to things and they're not really equipped to deal with all of the things that are online or that they can be exposed to. And so I think they lack that kind of awareness without being taught.
But they all have devices, so I mean, doesn't that just come with the device?
I think that the mindfulness, they see the device and it's something that's fun or engaging, but not always thinking through all of the what ifs and ramifications of using them.
Well, and I think sometimes too, what they start out using the device for, maybe they don't even have access to the internet or social media, but then as they learn to use the device, they gain access to things that maybe weren't intended initially.
It's like, oh, what?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So as a parent, especially of an elementary student, I mean, what are your concerns about digital citizenship?
Well, I think something Lee just said is what they're exposed to is, like, at this point, my biggest concern. My kids are still pretty young and they do have devices. They have little Kindle Fires, but they're really locked down and protected. They don't have access to the internet on them. So in that sense, I feel like they're okay. But sometimes they're like, oh, I want to look for a video on YouTube, and I think, oh, what are they going to see on there? I mean, anything comes up there. So I worry a lot about just like what they see without me being right there to just make sure that they're not seeing things I don't want them to yet.
So actually, that brings us to a video question from another parent. Let's take a look at that.
Hi, my name is Heather Scogan, and something that I've been concerned about with my children and the internet is their access to YouTube. They love to go on and visit websites that talk about Minecraft, things like that. And so I want to make sure that they're not running into inappropriate content there, and I don't know the best way to do that. So that's my question for you.
Great question,
Yes.
and you kind of alluded to that. So what can we teach students to be safe when they're using YouTube and other internet sites?
I think one thing is to do it with a safe adult.
Definitely.
And I know even with my children, or even when I'm on YouTube, sometimes even when I'm being careful, come across something that's not appropriate.
Been there.
Pops right up.
So
Not safe for work.
exactly. Trying to preview, that's not always possible. But if you know that your student or son or daughter is going to be on YouTube looking for something, kind of going ahead of them, looking at the videos, trying to preview them to make sure, because you can be watching a video and then an ad will pop up
Right.
that seems unrelated to the video. So.
So mentoring, kind of being alongside the
Definitely, yeah.
student
And if
child.
possible, previewing ahead of time what
I
they'll
think,
be viewing.
along those lines, kind of just trying to think one step ahead a little bit as a parent. So, instead of free unrestricted access, let's have some discussion about ground rules for when you are on the internet. And it doesn't have to be specific to a particular site, because we know that the sites that kids are into are going to evolve and change. And so if we have, these are just the specific YouTube rules, then when YouTube isn't the it thing anymore, maybe those don't apply. But the same rules about, if you come across something that you think is inappropriate or makes you uncomfortable, this is what you do. Having those kind of ground rules with your kids.
So what do they do? So if they come across something that's inappropriate, I mean, what are the rules? What are the suggestions for the students?
What I talk about with the students when we discuss digital citizenship is, as you would with anything in life, stranger danger, things like that, you find a trusted adult and you share with them, and they can help you strategize how to deal with that particular situation.
Yeah, and I think, just talking to an adult, I just try to tell my kids to come and tell me you won't get in trouble for telling me that you accidentally saw something or that you came across something. I would much rather them come and talk to me about it than hide it or, never let me know, because then it just can continue.
So it sounds to me like there's kind of a need for some trust, is that the children need to know that they can go to a parent and they're not going to necessarily get busted for that. So I know one of the particular challenges that we have is bullying, and we ask students at Geyser Middle School to talk about their experiences with bullying.
Personally, no, but I've seen people who have been bullied before, and I've seen the outcome of it, and it's not too pretty.
I asked her, if she was okay and whatnot, and she said that she wasn't okay, and I told her that maybe she should talk to her parents about it. She was nervous and scared too.
One of my closest friends actually was a victim of an account that someone made on Instagram, and they started bullying them verbally, talking trash about them, how they were horrible persons, saying using horrible profanity and a lot of other things. And eventually it stopped. They did the right thing, and they told the principal and everyone.
And I don't really care about my safety that much because I'm not giving out my information at all. I would never do that.
I just use it as social media just to communicate with people and have fun. I don't really use it to do anything secret or anything like that. So no, I don't really care about my safety online.
I don't really worry about it. I don't show people my face. I don't tell them my real age. If they say their age, I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. And, I keep all my personal information to myself. Sometimes I lie depending on the person. If they're like, you have to tell me, then I lie about it.
I worry about my safety online by just making sure that what I say online is actually how I feel, and taking a moment to think it through before I actually post it, because I know when it's public, everyone in the world can see it, and even when I delete it, it still can be tracked down.
So, just quick impressions about what they said. Did something stick out for you?
Something that stood out to me is, some of the kids had experienced something negative online. And I think it's important to remember that the internet and social media is a great tool and can be something that's really positive. And just because bad things can happen doesn't mean we shouldn't use those things. So that was one of my takeaways.
Definitely. I was actually impressed the number of kids who seem to have some knowledge. Our first question about, do the kids know what digital citizenship is, and things about not sharing passwords and not sharing age and some of those important things. I was encouraged to hear that they were following.
Well, maybe they came from Minnehaha.
Our students.
My understanding is that at Minnehaha you have a kind of a neat digital citizenship project where you really focus on bullying and cyberbullying. Could you maybe talk a little bit about what you're doing with students at Minnehaha?
Yeah, so I, in the library position, do a unit with all of the different grade levels, and it looks a little different at each grade, on digital citizenship. And one component of that is cyberbullying. And then Lee, our counselor, does a lot of great work with a Stand Up to Bullying program, and we kind of at one point said, oh, hey, we should merge those two. And so what we have done is during that time when we're teaching some of the lessons on cyberbullying, Lee's come in and we've co-taught those lessons together and talked about how sort of in-person bullying compares alike and different from cyberbullying, and strategies to deal with those that can be both the same and different depending on the situation.
How do you stand up to bullying? So I like that name. So how does a child stand up to bullying?
What we teach the kids is to recognize what bullying is, and then we talk to them about ways to either refuse the bullying or to report it. And so at our school, one of the tools we have taught kids is to tell the person that they want them to stop. And that if it doesn't stop, then they go and report to an adult. And we call that stop, walk, talk.
Oh, great.
And we found that really can be tailored to apply to online situations as well. Whatever activity you are engaged in where bullying is happening, you can stop, you can walk away from the computer, because even though it can be a really pervasive presence because it can follow you home and it's not, quite the same, but you can walk away from whatever device the bullying is happening on and talk to an adult about it. So those steps still apply.
It sounds like at Minnehaha Elementary, there's a lot of people to help out with that challenge with students. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. As children grow older, digital citizenship extends beyond stranger dangers and bullying to students developing online identities. What students say and post online is part of their evolving identity. But what they post can be permanent. We asked students at Geyser about that topic.
Yes, I have posted something that I wished I hadn't, and I should have thought about it more, but I didn't, so.
No, I don't really think so. I don't post a lot of things.
Yes, I have. I posted a picture of someone, and it was one of my friends, and I kind of felt bad afterwards because people were laughing, kind of picking on him at school for it. So after a while, I took it down.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, there's been a few comments on things and just posts in general. I've deleted them though.
Well, yeah, because people are really judgmental, so they say stuff, or they go up to you and call you or snicker, they just say things, and it irritates me sometimes.
Yes, I've said things on Facebook that I wish I never had said, and I've gotten in trouble for it. And I've been called selfish, rude, a bully. Even if it's just a joke, it just wasn't right.
I don't worry about what other people think of me because of what I post online, because who I am online is still me.
No, because I'm just being myself and I don't care who they think I am or what I do with my life.
That what they say actually does hurt each other, and that they're not just making it up or that they're lying. I know that one of my friends' parents, after she was being bullied online, she would tell her parents, and her parents thought that she was making it up or that she was overreacting. And even when they looked at the messages, they thought it was just a joke. But like parents need to understand that it's not a joke, that it actually happens and that it's a thing.
I think adults don't understand how kids can like take advantage of the internet sometimes and why they do take advantage of it.
They don't understand like the side of it, like the secret side that not everyone can see, and a lot of stuff goes on, like bullying through like direct messages that not everyone sees.
So we'd like to turn our attention to older students, and in doing that, we'd like to introduce a couple of new guests. So could you please introduce yourselves?
I'm Erin Friesen. I have a middle schooler at iTech and a high schooler at iTech.
Great.
And I'm Laura Day. I'm an instructional technology facilitator for Vancouver Public Schools.
So, what is the difference between kids and adults on this topic with online identity and use of social media?
It's used in such a different way. I think the stakes are a little higher for an adult. Stakes are still high for a student, but they're not worried about losing their job, finances, all the burdens that come with being an adult.
I think kids too there's this different willingness to share everything that they think and feel with the entire world, and that feels very foreign to us. I saw a meme on the internet, of course, and it was saying something like, when I was a kid, we shared all of our feelings too in our diary that we didn't let anyone read ever. And now kids, they use social media in the way that we would have all of our personal private thoughts, and it's just different than how we do it.
So you work with teachers and professionals, and so this is an issue very close to you.
Yeah, and with students somewhat. But I think one of the things that's interesting when you're talking to kids is if you say to them, would you let your future boss know these things that you're saying? They're like, of course not. But they don't always make that connection between the internet is still the real world. And
Right.
I think being intentional about making them aware of that and make them really think about it as they get older, they will hopefully save themselves some pain.
How do you keep tabs as a parent? How do you keep tabs of what your kids say and do online?
Lots of watching, but not letting them know I'm watching. I think they still are at the age where they think, oh, mom doesn't know. Mom doesn't know what I'm doing. But, I can catch a few words as I'm glimpsing over, handing them a sandwich, and, just always awareness on my end. And, if I see something, questions.
So we have a couple of folks, speaking of social media, that have tweeted in a question and a comment. So let's take a look at those. The question is, how do we create a community of kindness in our schools?
I think one of the things, as we do more with digital citizenship, I think there's a sort of artificial separation between citizenship, which we've been teaching kids in school forever and ever, and digital citizenship, and we sort of create this arbitrary separation of the two, when really in the world that we live in now, citizenship is digital citizenship. It's all the same. And so I think part of what is going to help continue to foster kindness in our schools is making sure that that digital part of the kids' lives is addressed in their citizenship.
I mean, do you, as a parent, do you sense that school is a kind place?
Yeah, I really do. I think my students have never come home saying that anything negative. They're happy to go to school every day. Obviously, that's not true for all children, but we've made a point of teaching our children that compassion and confidence are probably our two biggest words that we want our kids to go away with every day from home and school. And I think it's being taught at the school and at home, and it's balanced, and I'm very happy.
Well, great. That's good to hear. We have a recommendation. Young teen dealing with an unhealthy situation online. Solution: block, ignore, and leave, and tell a trusted adult. So is that good advice?
Yeah, so when we talk to the kids about digital citizenship and staying safe online, the first thing we always tell them to do is just walk away from the computer right away and go get an adult. Then blocking those people and not letting them to continue to communicate with you is absolutely correct. Yeah, one of the advantages of bad things that happen online is you do have the power to turn off your computer and walk away, which you can't do that on a playground. But I do think also really emphasizing that go get an adult to help you with this, because even kids that are high school age, they're not adults yet. They're not as ready to deal with these things as they think they are, and having an adult help them is what we're there for.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like partnership is the key to success. Well, I want to thank you for your feedback, Erin and Laura. This conversation has just begun. If you are looking for help with digital citizenship, check out commonsensemedia.org. They have a wealth of resources about teaching and raising kids in this digital world. You can see their web address on your screen. That was a great conversation. I heard a few ideas that jumped out for me. I heard adults carrying and taking responsibility for helping children learn about digital citizenship. Both parents and educators are active in keeping children safe and responsible online. I also heard how important it is to create a sense of trust and support between children and adults. Parents, teachers, and counselors spoke about being trusted partners. Instead of us versus them, adults are willing to be the guide on the side for students in the digital domain. Finally, I heard that digital citizenship as a term helps us understand the challenge of ensuring that children are safe and responsible online, but that in a digital world, citizenship is just citizenship. I really appreciate this feedback. Until next time, I'm Mark Ray.